everyone, and welcome to New Trials, the podcast. I'm Preya.
And I'm Melanie.
The New Trials of card captor Sakura, Syaoran and Friends is a popular ongoing fanfic by Wishluv, and it's based off of Clam's card captor Sakura. And in each episode, we'll do a deep dive of a chapter. Let's get into it. So Melanie, do you have any fun yacht stories or boat stories that you would like to share with the crowd?
Well, everyone is going to be shocked to find out I actually do have a boat story. And why that is shocking is because I'm sure some of you have heard through this podcast that I have a very deep fear of water, otherwise known as thalassophobia. So, 10 years ago now, when Pete and I got married, we were our parents gave us just enough money for the wedding, and that was basically it. And we had the choice of wedding or honeymoon, and we actually went with honeymoon for the money they gave us. So we were poor, like mid-20-year-olds, and so we were kind of looking at affordable honeymoons that were still fun and special. And really, the only thing I could find that kind of fit the bill was a cruise. And I was so scared, but I was like, you know what? I've heard nothing but good things about cruises, and surely it can't be that bad. But my only stipulation with Pete, I was like, we cannot have a balcony and we cannot have a window. I don't want to know where we are on the ship. I don't want to see anything. I want to be blissfully unaware. I was like, the only time where I want to be sort of acknowledged that I'm on this huge boat in the middle of this deep ocean. I was like, maybe if we're at dinner, I'll like glance at the ocean. But I was like, otherwise, I really don't want to know. It drove Pete nuts because we didn't have a window and there's no clocks in the room. So he never knew what time of day it was. And he actually had to buy a watch on one of the first islands we stopped at because he was getting like so irritated of never knowing the time. Whereas me, little hermit crab vampire, I loved it. I loved the room was like pitch black all the time. It was so snuggly and I could just lay in bed and read all day. So I loved it. So we did a cruise for a honeymoon, and everything went fine. It was kind of hilarious, though, in a way, because when we were coming back from the Bahamas, and September, mind you, is hurricane season, but we just happened to miss it. But there was a hurricane that was kind of following us as we were coming back, but we just barely missed it. We got so lucky. And the only time I really ever had to go on a boat proper was one of the islands we went to. The only way to get to this ding-dang island is we had to get on this small-ass boat and jet across the ocean to where this island was. And I couldn't almost like step off the ramp thing to get into the boat. Like Pete and a couple workers had to help me. It was so embarrassing. And then I was like just burying my head in Pete's shoulder, and I was like, just let me know when we get there. I'm just going to go to my happy place. And anyways, I survived. That was my honeymoon. It was great. How about you?
So, I think when Cameron was a teenager, or at least like late teens, early 20s, he was in Scotland. And that's when he went sailing for the first time. And he absolutely loved it. And he always said when he was older, he was going to get a sailboat. So in September of 2021, I bought a house, but we weren't going to get possession of it until the end of October. And he was looking for boats, just window shopping. Then there's one that crossed his lap, and it's like, oh, this is a good deal, and I'm going to jump on it. So when he called me up and said, honey, I bought a boat, I wasn't too surprised. So it's a cute little sailboat. I'll put pictures. The first time that we went on it, we weren't 100% sure about the motor. And no, the motor was fine. I think what happened is that we hit a rock, and then we were stuck in the water. And then next thing you know, he's running to the intercom, and he's like, pan, 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 mayday, mayday, mayday. And I'm like, oh, great. What is my life? We are stuck in the water, and now we need help. So then like he keeps like rocking the boat back and forth, and then we dislodge. And we're like, oh, we're free. But next thing you know, we're stuck again. So luckily the Coast Guard came to get us and towed us out of there. And we got back to land, and that was the maiden voyage.
realizes how much of a saint you are, because I would never get on that goddamn boat ever again.
The next time we were on, it was lovely. It was around sunset. We've got great pictures. I can post those up too. But that's not even the wildest story. So the next year we upgraded the motor, and the motor that we bought was kind of just sitting idle for like 3-4 years. So we didn't know that it needed like a new flush. We just put it on the boat. So we're in the water, and next thing you know, we lose power. We only have like 10% of power to get us back in the harbor, and it's not enough to control us. So we're in the harbor, and we're trying to like get back to our like parking space, but the motor was not being our friend, and next thing you know, we were ready to like slowly crash into another boat that was parked. So then Cameron jumps out. He puts his body between our boat and the other boat, because last thing you want to do is hit another person's boat. And it's like, I'm trying to do what I can on my side. And then there was this man like down on the dock, and Cameron's like, help, help. And the man's just doing his business, doing his work. And I'm like, au secours, on besoin d'aide, which is help us, we need like help. And then he just drops what he's doing and he runs to us. And I don't, and Cameron was so mad. He's like, here we are calling for help, and he's just ignoring us because we were speaking English. And I'm like, even if you're a francophone, you should know what help means, and you can see that we're in distress.
I was going to say, help, I feel like is pretty universal.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah, and why is help so easy in English, and in French it's au secours? It's like, why is it 3 syllables?
It is in Spanish too, ayudar.
Oh boy.
Ayud, or you could say ayúdame, which is like help me, but still, ayuda.
Yeah, so those are my 2 crazy boat stories. Everything else were very nice sails. We had lots of fun. We've had the boat for 2 summers now. We brought the dog on the boat. He has his own life jacket. We brought the cat on the boat. Not too crazy. Not a fan. But yeah, more good memories than bad. Let's just say that.
And needless to say, when I went to go visit her, I was like, no thank you on the boat. We can just stay on land.
I wouldn't do that to you.
To tranquilize me.
Okay, we can move on to Alliance of the Stars.
Okay, so first of all, Preya and I have to extend some apologies. So, this entire time, it turns out we have still been mispronouncing Michelle's name. So, up until this point, we have been saying Mezel. Well, she very kindly reached out to Preya and did a voice message and said, actually, it's pronounced Michelle. So, we are very sorry, and we will be much better about it going forward. And thank you for correcting us, because we would just be, I think, so sad to know, like, going into, like, let's say you didn't correct us till arc 4, like, we would have been so sad. So we appreciate you and thank you. Okay, moving on. So these are all comments from our wonderful Michelle. And so the first one that she commented on was the chapter 32, Believe in Me When the Sun Rises. And she said, the artwork may not be accurate to the text, but it's what it looks like in our hearts. Hope you two had a great holiday season. I'm going to finally catch up on the episodes this time. Haha. And then next we have one for chapter 33, Finding Neo. And then the first one we have is, I completely forgot about the little detail about the door to Syaoran's apartment being open. I agree that it was probably because of Aaron, since Kai would never go through the front door in the first place, let alone leave evidence that someone was there. Ha ha ha. Speaking of Kai, I'm pretty sure he did steal the Lee clan sword while he was in Hong Kong, and the clan just kept quiet about it for obvious reasons. Kind of humiliating to admit your great family treasure was stolen, lol. Maybe I'm also remembering it wrong, but he does steal it by the time Star-Cross is performed. I've been really taking my time with Arc 3 reread, but maybe I need to be faster so I can answer your questions, like when Sakura tells Kai she's known about his identity. All I remember is her confronting him about it in the winter ski trip, which you mentioned, and yeah. Also, a friendly PSA, since my name's, oh, and then she corrects this one. And then she also commented to O, and also how OU is pronounced with Japanese words. It'll always be an O sound. I think it's just translator preference how a word is romanized, because I've seen stuff like shouju or shoujo or even shoujo.
Yeah, because I think in the podcast you were trying to like figure out how it was pronounced.
What was I figuring out how to pronounce? I don't remember.
Shoujo or shouju.
Shouju. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we got a comment from chapter 35, It Must Rain First. And she said, ooh, a question I can answer for sure. Yes, Erika plays Rosaline and Aki plays Tybalt, who Mercutio often refers to as Prince of Cats. I just learned this, but apparently it's both a compliment and an insult. I assume they either sang an ensemble piece that could be pulled off with just two people, or maybe sang one of their solo songs and made it a duet.
Yeah, I like her insight there.
That's hilarious. I didn't realize Prince of Cats came from Mercutio. That's super funny. And then we got a comment from chapter 34. And then she said, thank you for taking the time to read out all your comments. I know this time it was just me and my spam of messages, but it's always nice hearing what everyone else has to say. To respond to Melanie, I use an app called Colored Note. Oh, and here she just kind of tells me about her Colored Note, which I am definitely going to look into. I actually read this earlier, and I'm very intrigued by it. She said, I don't know if I could post my chapter notes, haha. They're written as I think them while reading, so most of them make zero sense and out of context, which I do the same thing when I make notes when I talk to Preya. Like, sometimes I'll just write things that I think is funny, and then I have to, like, take a second to remember what I was meaning. So I get that. What I write in Yahoo Groups I.O. tends to be more coherent version of my notes anyway. I do have a compiled doc on my Kindle notes, though, since it helps me with forming theories, which might be easier to share. I have a line from this chapter highlighted that drove me in the direction of Kai being Miho's brother. It's when Kai drives away after bringing Chiharu back, and Miho has a moment where she watches him leave, and my brain went, what if? One of the only plot twists I caught onto the first time I read NT. Ha ha.
Those are great comments. And then there was a bonus one, and it's a backtrack to finding you, chapter 33. She writes, one more comment, ahaha. I went back to look at my notes on my Kindle, and I literally have two separate notes wondering why they didn't throw the chip out the window to save so much hassle. Also in my notes is a line from Syaoran when he mentions that he lost control of his powers when trying to jump off onto the train, and he said, I guess I was being careless, but could it actually be foreshadowing for the wave?
Yes, for sure, because not to get all witchy, but full moons and different phases of moons tend to last like anywhere between like 3 days, the effects of it, so that would 100% make sense.
Cool. Today we'll be discussing the first part of chapter 36, For There to Be a Rainbow. So we decided that we're going to cover all of day 1, which is the questionnaire portion of the contest, and the yacht party. This chapter was released on October 1st, 2001, which is 1 month and 1 day after the release of chapter 35, and it also marked New Trials' 2nd anniversary. The word count is 20,820 words, and this chapter takes place in August while they're in the 9th grade. So, time for the summary of the first day. The question and answer period marked the final challenge, and it opened with what was the meaning of the box. Aki said that the beat-up box would mean nothing until they won. Takashi told the story of Pandora's box and said even with the evils there will always be hope that will keep him and with Chiharu. Sakura said that the box meant not to judge things by appearances, as she showed everyone the beauty inside. She told everyone about how she looked inside Syaoran and ended up with a dependable friend. Sakura kept the music box as Syaoran told her his greatest treasure wouldn't fit in it. When the guys were asked what they liked best about the girls, Aki said the beauty, Takashi said honesty. Syaoran said he didn't know, as he loved her so much already that there was no real reason. The next tricky question was how they met, and Sakura and Syaoran were indecisive on 3-year-olds, classmates, or in a dream. Erika said Aki saved her from a basketball, when the truth was that he hit her. Takashi told everyone Chiharu saved him from bullies in kindergarten, and after getting to know her, he proposed and kissed her. When asked about the fates, Syaoran and Sakura stated that they wanted to be in control of their lives. During the break, Sakura was furious when she overheard that Erika targeted the wolf at Takashi and Chiharu so she could win, and learned that she stole the embroidery too. Afterwards, a judge spoke in riddles, forcing the contestants to answer to keep them in until Syaoran chased it away. The final question was why they entered the competition. Chiharu said she wanted them to be closer, and Takashi explained how it would be a chance for his mother to see that he is happy with Chiharu. He smiled at a teary woman who smiled back at him. Sakura gave up her chance of winning as she revealed she and Syaoran were not a couple and entered for money. Erika admitted defeat and walked away from the prize. Takashi and Chiharu won. That night was the yacht party, and Syaoran stopped the boat from sinking while he and Sakura faced the riddle. They learned that they must outsmart it to seal it. When Tomoyo and Miho came along, Riddle talked about Miho's brother and made her want to know more. Sakura and Syaoran mended the hole once Riddle left, with a warning about waves. Okay, on to the chapter. So, there's one event left in the best couple contest, and still at this point, Sakura has a real thirst for winning. So, it's like, she's in it, it's like they've gone through so much, and it's like, I want to see it to the end. So we see that the change of heart really does come, way later.
Yes, yes.
The announcer greets us, and I'm sad this is the last chapter that we have the MC with us, because you gave him so much personality and such, little airtime.
Thank you. It was super fun.
In this chapter, we get Asuma as a judge. And, honestly, at this point, I'm shocked that, S&S weren't a shoo-in to win, considering that, he and Arima were on the judges panel. But, you gotta put your biases aside.
Right.
Sakura and Syaoran have a really cool conversation about their public speaking phobia, and it goes to show that even the strongest people have their weaknesses.
It's a reason that it's the number one fear, even over death. It takes a lot of grit and confidence to get up on stage and talk.
So it's time for the couples to answer the questions about what the music box means to them. And S&S were stumped and realized it wasn't pretty as they thought it was. Then you have Eric and Aki point blank saying that it's a means to an end, and I guess that's what you have to admire their frankness. It got them to the next round. And then when it was Takashi and Chiharu's turn, Takashi decided to tell the story of Pandora's box, and he segued into a story about hope. Now, I think what surprised me the most about this section was how, the other two couples couldn't really answer the question, and then they were just booted out. It's
I loved how, one of them was yellow is a cool color to me.
What's up with that? It's you spend the whole treacherous night looking for the music box in the rain, miserable conditions, and you finally find it, and then you can't even give a good answer, and they don't even give you a second chance. That's it. You're guillotined out of the competition.
Hey, stakes are high. Stakes are high.
So, when it was S&S's turn, they give different answers to where they found the music box. And this actually made me excited for the scene where they couldn't give a straight answer of when they met. Because it's even though I don't remember everything from this chapter, the whole thing, it's yeah, we met at school. No, we met at 3 years old. No, I saw you in a dream. I thought that was so cute.
Yes. You know what's funny is I remember the music box question, but for some reason that's the only thing I ever really remember from this like Q&A that they did.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that they asked like all these different questions, and I completely forgot that, spoiler alert, the riddle's gonna pop up here like any minute. Like I completely forgot about all of that. And all I could think of, like when I was thinking of when I went to go record this chapter, I was like, oh, well, this part's going to be like real quick and then we're going to be done. And spoiler alert again, Chihara and Takashi are going to win. Yay! But then, like, I was like, oh, it keeps going. Oh, there's a riddle. Wow, I forgot about all of this.
Yeah, no, it's like it literally is a lot of questions, and like I get why the other two couples are out so that like Wish-chan can actually spend more time on Sakura, Syaoran, Erika, Aki, and Takashi and Chiharu, and rather than like filler unknown couples. But just the way that the thing was set up, it's like, oh, you can't answer the music box question? Bye-bye.
Cut it out. Did you like my little music box music I put in there?
It was really pretty.
So it's not exactly Swan Lake, but it's something that I could find that was close enough that sort of fit the vibe, so I was pretty pleased with it.
Yeah, no, seriously, like the music box music that you added to the audio chapter, like it really brings everything to another level.
Thank you.
So, it made Sakura's speech about her friendship with Syaoran all the more sweeter.
Oh, I just love that section. And then, like, it's like they're finally being honest about that question, you know, that was posted them before the contest. And now they're finally being honest with each other. And I just think it's such a cute scene. And I'm so sad I forgot about it.
We learned that Shing designed the music box, and it's always fun to get a call back to him. So SNS talk about the music box, and I just have to bring up the fact that Syaoran said his most valuable treasure isn't able to fit in it. And of course it goes over Sakura's head, but the rest of us are swooning.
And shaking our heads.
Either swooning or I'm swooning and Melanie is shaking her head. The guys are then asked what they like about their girlfriends. Aki focused on Erika's outside appearance, while Takashi talked about Chihiru's virtues. When it was Syaoran's turn, I honestly didn't remember what he was going to say. And then in the end, he says that he doesn't know because in real love, there isn't a reason. And I'm like, oh my god, stop!
This is when I swoon. Like, oh my god, because it's such an honest and such a good answer, and it's something that Syaoran would actually say, I think. So bravo to Wish-chan. Such a good scene.
Yeah, and the fact that Sakura told Aaron that she didn't know why she liked Syaoran, oh my gosh, I would be blushing like crazy if I was Sakura in that moment.
So sweet.
The question about how SNS met is one of my favorite parts of this section because of the fact that they have so many answers and it's pretty hilarious, and it's a beautiful mix of clamp canon and anti-fanon. We have Takashi's story of how he and Chihiru met, and I'm so glad that Wish-chan just didn't leave it here and she took the time to really flesh out their story.
Yes.
You know, it makes me wonder how many other, like, side stories she has bubbling. Like, we know she has Voice of the Wolf and that Chloe backstory and Legacy and the Kaiju Magician origins. That's also ongoing, but, to be in Wish-chan's head.
I know. One of these days, I'm going to sit down and have a coffee or tea with her, and I'm just going to be like, just tell me everything that's in that brilliant mind. And even if it takes us 5 coffees to get through it, like, I just want to sit and listen to everything.
SNS get a real hard-hitting question for 15-year-olds. You have written in your contest application that you have leading roles in your school production, Star-Crossed, an alternate version of Romeo and Juliet. It is known that the theme of fate holds a vital role in this play. What is your perception of fate in life and your relationship? Like, I honestly don't blame Arima for giving the judge a dirty look. It's like even adults aren't able to answer that question.
Yeah, that almost sounds like a college essay question, honestly.
Yeah, it's really deep, and It's like other questions are like, why do you like your partner? And this is a bit it's a bit reaching.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Syaoran's answer is very definite about his life is his own to live, and Sakura also wants to have control over her life. Now, Sakura gives her opinion on Romeo and Juliet, and how she went from thinking that their story was very romantic to wanting to rebel against it. Now, Melanie, you already told us that Romeo and Juliet is your favorite Shakespeare play, but what about it makes it your number one?
I think it's just the romance of it, honestly. And then I also just think it's just such a good example of how prejudice can affect life and relationships. And I think it goes even beyond just familial. I think, there can be prejudice, there can be religious prejudice, there can be, of course, racial. And I just think it just shows that, like, if you force your own prejudice upon your children, what can happen, And so I think that's the most important thing I take away from it, especially now that I'm a mom, is I just think it's so important for me to have Luna be able to have her own voice and be able to choose what she wants to believe in. And it's very important for me not to like push anything on her. And so I think that's the biggest thing I take away from Romeo and Juliet. And of course, it's just a beautiful love story, even though they're literally 14 years old, but we won't talk about that. But but I think that's the biggest thing I take away from it. And I think even though on the surface level, it seems like it's a very, it's one of Shakespeare's most romantic play, if you will. But I just think it has such a deep undertoning meaning that I feel like we could even apply to today. And I think that's why it's important to me.
That's a great answer.
Thanks. Did I win the best couple contest?
Yeah, that would definitely make you win the best couple contest, hands down. So I love how SNS thought that the modeling and contract in New York was easier than the questionnaire portion of the contest. Now, during the break, we listen in on Erica and Aaron's conversation, where we get our answer to why the werewolf was targeting Takashi and Shiharu, and the Dark Ones designed it that way to get TNC and SNS out of Erica's ways. So no need to ask Wish-chan that particular question, even though it did spark a fun conversation that we had in the last episode, and this is where we really live up to our reputation of being a deep dive podcast.
Although I still stand firm that maybe the argument was helping out a little bit too. We will see. We will see.
I thought it was interesting to hear that Sakura would always have the upper hand over the wolf since it was originally created by her. Now, we get a mention of the Phantom, which is the opposite of that, and then we get some foreshadowing that the riddle is going to cause some mischief. Now, like Melanie said, it didn't take long for it to show up, and I can't remember if I remembered it. I think I must have forgotten that the riddle also showed up so soon. But riddles were pretty funny considering the context, and I liked seeing Takashi go toe-to-toe with him.
Yes. Because I remember the riddle in the boat scene that we're going to get to, and of course I remember it during the winter ski trip, but I completely forgot that it makes its debut at this like Q&A at the best couple contest.
Now, the last riddle was, throw a stone into a lake, it never reaches the bottom. Look at your reflection, nothing is seen. Cry your heart out, tears don't fall. Give your soul, face betrayal. Now, Syaoran was able to identify it as love, but Sakura was very offended until Syaoran said that he didn't agree with it and dissed Riddle in the process, which I thought was hilarious. Mm-hmm. And that was enough to get rid of Riddle in the competition, from the competition. Now, we get a full circle moment, because do you remember how Riddle is captured?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I do. And I have a very personal story about that when we get there.
Yeah, so I remember how Riddle was captured, but I completely forgot about this riddle, like, specifically. So the fact that we get, like, a full circle moment, it's like that, and I completely forgot about it. It made me really happy to get to this scene and see, like, the origins.
So all the previous riddles are actually very well-known ones,
Yes.
but that last one, I just typed it out just to Google, just to see, and I think that's a Wish Chan original because it didn't look like it. Because I typed in like the first sentence, comma, love riddle on Google, and nothing came up that was close. So I think that's a Wish Chan original.
Yeah, I think it's a Wish Chan original too, because it's like ever since Around the Campfire, she's been writing like her own originals and inserting it in the fic. So, and even the previous ones too, it's like they're familiar to me as well. This one is definitely only a New Trials thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Aaron and Miho get their first scene together, and they end up talking about McKay. Now, Aaron definitely acted that he knew more than he let on when he asked about her brother's whereabouts, but Miho was too distressed to notice.
And is this the part where she kind of teases him a little bit for talking to himself?
Yeah.
So I think, like, I don't know, but I think this scene kind of set Aaron off a little bit, and I think it kind of becomes the catalyst for what's going to happen in arc 3. Because I think he was maybe, I don't know, but I think maybe he was just going to let it just, he's just like, oh, that's the other Tanaka sibling, I can just ignore her. But then when she was kind of being like, you talk to yourself, and Aaron is the type of guy, he does not like to listen to flaws. He's very much like you and I. We just want to hear how great and how wonderful and how loved we are. And to be pointed out flaws. So I think that kind of set him off a little bit and is why he's going to, her being a target, I feel like is a pretty big part of arc 3.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's like a bit of arc 3 is fuzzy to me. I remember the highlights, but I'm looking forward to doing a deep dive with you when we pick up arc 3 because I'm sure there's going to be so much that I already forgot.
I can't even tell you the last time I read arc 3. It's been such a long time. And I've already started to record it. And, like, of course, like, these first couple ones I remember. But on Friday, I'm going to be recording another one. And I'm getting into territory that I haven't read in so long.
I love how the question of why did you enter the challenge is supposed to be the easy one. Now, Chiharu's answer was very sweet, and Takashi's answer really took us by surprise when it circled back to his mother. And I actually remembered that she was in the audience and how they made eye contact, so I'm glad Wish-chan wrote in that little moment. When it was Sakura's turn, I'm glad that she was honest. And I guess after seeing Takashi and Chiharu being so genuine, like, how can you not?
Yeah. Well, and I think he pulled at the mom heartstrings in Sakura, too. And so,
Yeah. Like, it wouldn't have been the same if SNS won. And now I remember why Arima and Asuma couldn't vote for them. And I'm glad that the crowd didn't turn against them either. Like, because it could have gotten pretty ugly.
Yeah, for sure.
But Erica backing out, that really took me by surprise. And that was very mature from her. And I'm glad that we learned that it was Syaoran's influence that helped her get to this point. And since the second place and third place couples were disqualified, they should have brought back the other two couples who found the music box. But it is what it is.
Can you imagine being those other two couples? Like, how mad would you be if they were a real couple? Which, who knows? Because the MC kind of pointed out last chapter that they might not all be fake couples. But how mad would you be?
Oh yeah,
I would be livid. Personally,
for sure.
I would be so mad.
With all that money on the line, like, I know that the first place prize is all that money, but usually second place and third place get something. But in the end, SNS do get, like, the envy. Yeah, so they get an honorary mention, which is cool. And I bet you anything that Arima and Asuma pushed for it, and you can consider it as an MVP prize.
Or Miss Congeniality.
Now, I can't believe Aki actually calls himself the black sheep when he does so much. Like, the star basketball player, he's the editor, he's keeping his like grades up. Did you ever feel like you had to live up to your siblings?
No, but again, I kind of have a weird family dynamic
Mm-hmm.
though, because my older brother, he's 15 years older than I am. So by the time I came along, he was basically almost into adulthood and then he was gone, basically. And then I only kind of ever saw him just fleetingly. And then I'm the middle sibling, and then my younger brother, he's 2 years younger than I am. So if anything, I kind of feel like my brother Matthew kind of had to live in my shadow a little bit. But ironically, so my maiden name is Mackie, and in the small area that I live in, there's this big cattle family with the last name Mackey, and they had a son that was a year older than me, and he was a huge troublemaker, and he had quite the reputation. So then when I came along, and we even look alike, which is weird. We're both tall, we both have dark hair and blue eyes, so they just assumed we were siblings. So when I would come along in class, they would always be like, "Oh, Mackie, Clint Mackey's sister," and I had to be like, "No, no, 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 I'm not. I don't even know who that is." And then when my brother came along, they're like, "Are you the good Mackie or the bad Mackie?"
Wow, small world.
But how about you? You have siblings as well.
I have siblings, but I am the oldest. So, and my parents are never one to like push us into like things that ever they let us go our own way. So like the only thing was driving. I went for my learners and I was supposed to go for my license, but I kept stalling and stalling and stalling. And then finally my brother, who was 3 years younger than me, when he was old enough to go for his license and he started studying, that just put a fire under me. And it's like, oh, no way, I'm going to let my little brother get his license before me. And I like worked really hard and I took the test and I got my license. Funny enough, that morning of my test, I actually told my mom, you know what, I think I'm going to cancel it. And Mom's like, no, you go to your test. And then I ended up passing. So woohoo, go me. But yeah, so I got my license before my brother. And fun story, my brothers still don't have their licenses to this day. They're just not interested. So
I mean, you have amazing public transportation
Yes.
in Montreal. So
Yes.
honestly, like if I didn't have to drive everywhere in Kansas, I would 100% be taking the metro too. So I don't blame them, but hilarious.
Yeah.
Still hilarious.
Yeah, so I think that was the only time I felt like that little competition of sorts. But yeah, no, our parents were really good at not putting that kind of pressure on us, and we had our own hobbies, we had our own interests, and we were in our own lanes.
Mm-hmm. And now you can drive us up very narrow, dark lanes up on a mountain.
I still can't believe I did that.
Mount Kimatori.
It is a new trials trip after all. In the end, Takashi and Chihiro win the competition, which is so cool. They were the ones who deserved it the most. And I love that we have Tomoyo daydreaming about next year's best couple contest, even though Sakura just shut her down.
Do you remember what happens next year, though?
Well, I do remember. It's like it's very fleeting, but Sakura and Tomoyo are at their great-grandfather's house and they're watching TV, and it turned out that one of the couples were Kai and Meilin.
And they win, I think.
Probably. Knowing them, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I guess we'll find out here when we start Arc 3. But.
Now, what I actually loved about this scene is that she was gushing about creating matching outfits for S&S, and then she's going to do just that during the fashion show in Arc 4.
I'm so excited.
Honestly, like, the fashion show Designs in Crime, that has to be probably one of my favorite chapters of New Trials. I'm so in love with the outfits.
Well, you know I'm biased to that chapter, so.
Yes. After the competition, there was an ending party on the yacht. We jump to the party and find Sakura hanging out outside with Tomoyo and Miho. Sakura gets a moment with Arima, and even though she apologized, Arima told Sakura that she was proud of her. And that's when we learned that A and A weren't actually a couple either, but, we already knew that. Mm-hmm. The relationship between them is really sweet. But Arima and Sakura. But it's a shame that we don't get as much as we want because Arima is so busy. But Arima is such an amazing big sister figure to Sakura. And the time that we do get together with them, it's really special. And I want to say that the next time they're together is chapter 55 Platinum.
Good Lord, I have no idea.
I think.
Well, don't they get together when they do the Vogue Nippon shoot?
That's Platinum.
Oh, okay.
Remember Sakura? She was wearing all the platinum jewelry, or there was platinum jewelry there, and it got stolen by the platinum. And then Arima takes out her Visa card to cover for everything. But that's Arc 4, the second chapter of Arc 4.
Okay, because I couldn't remember if the Vogue shoot, the one where she wears the green dress and her hair's in the long braid.
Yeah, she actually cuts her hair, and the long braid is an extension.
That's right, man. Yeah. I like to think though that they text a lot and stuff because then Sakura becomes one of her bridesmaids and stuff too, which is super cute. But...
Yeah, it's true. Sakura does plan her wedding, so yeah, no, they're always going to be close.
Yeah. Man, good memory though for you. Shoot.
It's the fan art. If there's a fan art, I'm gonna remember. So Syaoran was MIA, which shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, and Sakura went looking for him. She runs into the boy who she saved from the wolf, but it was a bit eerie that Erase didn't completely accomplish a job of wiping his memory.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I wonder why, but...
I don't know. It's remember Fantastic Beasts 2? Number 1 ends with everybody's memories being lost, but then Jacob, he actually remembered because to him it was good memories. So if I had a theory, it would be that, but I don't know. Anyway, your voice for him was super cute.
Thanks.
And his cheekiness actually reminds me of Subaru.
Oh, Subaru. Arc 3. Arc 3. I'm scared.
Oh, it's gonna have so much heartbreak. Thank goodness Wish-chan really crams the fluff before everything goes down. We're gonna have some fun before we get our hearts ripped out.
Yeah, I'm still in the happy bliss land right now of Arc 3. So far I don't need to send my Venmo, but I'm getting there.
So Sakura finds Syaoran, and it's pretty mortifying that he was plugging a hole with his finger, courtesy of the riddle. The riddle was all ring around the rosies, and this was a reference to the plague. And I will consider it as foreshadowing since it's going to play a huge part of Arc 3. And it also has roots in the Nadeshiko arc character since it's what kills SNS's parents and made Miho's mother ill.
Agreed. I was going to mention that.
Yeah. I'm listening to How Rude Taneritos. And in the last episode I was listening to, they were playing Ring Around the Rosies with Michelle. And then Andrea Barber was going to Jodie Sweetin. It's like, oh, did you know that nursery rhyme was about the plague? And then Jodie's like, what? I had no idea. And then Andrea was breaking it down for her and making the connections of the posies and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, all roads lead to new trials.
I love you.
Now, we also get some foreshadowing about Miho's brother. And, that doesn't make sense to her, but it makes sense to the readers. Kai's going to be right under her nose, and she won't have a clue. Riddle is tired of waiting, and he leaves, but not before hinting at the wave, which is a really fun to catch during this deep dive. I didn't realize that the wave was foreshadowed this early on. And,
right.
Yeah. Now all they had to do was fix the hole. She swaps Syaoran's fingers with a handkerchief and tried to use the fiery, but it wasn't working. So Sakura uses her ring to help with the welding. and they try to follow up on Riddle's remark about the waves as she investigates, even though they didn't see anything that would threaten the town. But there's definitely something out there. The party is over, and Sakura misses her chance to dance with Syaoran. But we're going to rectify that in Arc 3, so no worries. It's the end of the day, and Sakura is beat, and I honestly don't blame her.
Wait, they dance in Arc 3?
Yeah.
Is it during Star-Crossed? Or?
No, it's not even during... Well, yeah, they dance during Star-Crossed, but if I remember correctly, the Christmas party, they're each other's dates, and they go outside because they don't want to, like, dance in front of everybody. And I could be misremembering this, but I feel that they do dance, like, outside.
Oh.
Like I said, I might be misremembering it because I wanted so badly, but I think that they exchanged their gifts, and I think they dance. But I only drew a fan art of them exchanging gifts, so whether they dance or not, we're going to be surprised. But they're going to definitely be dancing in Star-Crossed, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, because I was under the impression that the first time they dance is during the masquerade, which she doesn't even know it's him.
Oh no, because they got to dance in Star-Crossed. It's
right,
yeah.
Right, but like like an official play just then. Yeah. But then, because I also think because then during like the bonfire that happened not too long ago, there was talks of dancing with him around the bonfire, and then she's like, "Oh, I missed my chance again." Yeah. So I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. No, I could be misremembering it. I'm looking forward to reading the Christmas party chapter in the end of Arc 3, but I feel that they do dance, but we'll see. You listeners, you're going to be along with us for the ride. Okay, Dark Forces Corner. We learn more about the background of the wolf and the phantom, which is what I want to quote here. The problem the wolf was the creation. Okay, the problem was that the wolf was the creation of Sakura's pure heart. Therefore, it would never grow that powerful, no matter how fierce it was. We created a dark force from the embroidery she made, and even though it had some advantages, Sakura would still have the greatest power over it since she made it. Phantom is different because it is a derivation from human fear and loathing. So I thought that was some interesting backstory of the forces that we saw in this chapter. We also get an introduction of the riddle, and since it's a force that dips in and out of narrative, I had to double check with Kiri-chan's list to make sure that this was the first appearance, just to make sure I didn't forget anything. And then Fiery makes an appearance to mend the ship. And finally, she uses Fly and the Invisible, and that's when she sees a series of waves. Moving on to fan art spotlight. I messaged Melanie, and I'm like, Melanie, I don't have a fan art for the first half of 35. It's like, do you want me to draw anything? And Melanie is like, oh, I can draw the riddle. And I'm like, really? That's cool. And then she draws this beautiful sphinx with a lion's face, and I'm so excited. I can't wait for everyone to see it. And it's so majestic and lovely, and the shading is beautiful. You did a great job.
Thank you. So let me just preface this by saying I realize that traditionally sphinxes are supposed to have human faces, but that freaks me out. So I kind of picture him as, I don't know if you guys seen it, but the original Rudolph back in the day, there's a character called King Moonracer that is in that, and he's like the lion that has the crown on his head and he has wings. So that's how I've always kind of pictured the riddle, is with like the lion's head. And so that's kind of what I drew. It's like a lion with wings and he looks all mischievous, because that's how I picture him in my head. Because to me, it's creepy to think that there's like this human face talking on like a body. I don't know. So I quite like how it turned out. I was pretty pleased with it.
Creative liberties, you do you. And I'm really happy that we have a fan art for the first half of chapter 36. We're gonna save the author's notes for next week. So for now, you have been listening to Neutrals, a podcast, or It Must Rain for There to Be a Rainbow.
You've been listening to New Trials, the podcast. Please be sure to check out the Facebook fan page for New Trials, where a big part of our discussions happen nowadays. Also, please be sure to check out the audiobook version of this fan fiction, where you can find anywhere that you can find this podcast. And please be sure to stick around next time when we discuss part B of this chapter 36, For There to Be a Rainbow.